What's going on, guys? Nick Santini here, and today I'm going to be building my new personal rig. It's going to be a Ryzen 5 build that I'm going to be using for gaming and also video editing. So let's get started. For the CPU, I went with AMD's Ryzen 5 1600. I opted for the 1600 instead of the 1600X because of the lower cost and the included Wraith Spire cooler. So with 6 cores and 12 threads, this CPU should work well for gaming and video editing, especially for the price. The graphics card I'm using is an EVGA super clocked GTX 1060, the 6GB model, which will work just fine for 1080p gaming while still supplying enough CUDA cores to help out with video rendering workloads. The motherboard is a MSI B350 Tomahawk, and while it may not have as many features as X370 chipset motherboards, it still offers overclocking and at a much more affordable price. Not to mention, I really love the black aesthetic. For the memory, I went with a 16GB kit of Corsair Vengeance DDR4, which runs at 3000 MHz. It'll be interesting to see if the Ryzen CPU and the memory get along, especially with rumors of Ryzen CPUs having problems with higher clock memory. For storage, I'll be using a Samsung 850 EVO SSD as the boot drive and a Crucial BX100 250GB SSD, as well as a Toshiba 500GB hard disk drive, which will be upgraded in the future. For the case, it was a toss-up between the NZXT S340 and the Fantex Eclipse P400S. I chose P400S in the anthracite gray color because it's an awesome looking case that should offer near quiet operation while still being affordable, and just because of the sheer amount of people that are still using the S340 in their builds. I'm using an EVGA 600B power supply because I happen to have a spare one as a backup. 600 watts should be plenty of power for this setup. And for the fans, I'll be using 2 of the 120mm fans that are included, as well as 2 Noctua NF F12 120mm fans, because although they're ugly, they're really great fans. So for those of you that may not know, building computers is probably my favorite thing to do. I know this probably sounds kind of nerdy, but it's super fun, so I can't wait to get started on this build. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, so now it's time to see if this thing will boot. Now I'm seriously hoping that it does, because I just spent the last like hour and a half to 2 hours putting this thing together. I'm actually using the old hard drive from my old computer, so in the past it's worked for me. I've been able to do that with a new CPU and new motherboard, but that's not always the case. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Hopefully I have the right drivers and everything already installed for my previous computers, but we're just going to go ahead and see. So here's a moment of truth. Oh no, it's very possible that I plugged in the switch wrong, so let me check that out. Alright, so this is take two. Like an idiot, I plugged in the power switch in the wrong spot. I was going based off of memory, and apparently my memory isn't as good as I thought it was, so we're going to try this again. Now, again, I really hope this turns on, because if not, I don't know. I'm going to have to try to troubleshoot and figure out what's going on. Alright, here we go. Oh, I turned off the switch on the power supply in the back. Go figure. Alright, here we go. Alright, I see lights and hard drives spinning, or hard drives, the CPU cooler spinning. Now, on the first boot, it may take a while. Now, that isn't like every time, that's just on the first boot. Hopefully it posts. Everything does look good though. Fans are spinning. Yep, all the fans are spinning. The light to the GPU is on. My keyboard and mouse just lit up. Oh hey, there we go. Sweet. Awesome, that's what I wanted to see. So as I'm editing this, I thought that, there were a few things I needed to clear up. So the first thing is, in order to save some time on this video, I cut out some of the steps. So if you may have noticed, I didn't install a graphics card, but then it magically appeared in the video. I did that just to save some time because I didn't want to make this video too long. So that's why I didn't include the benchmarks in this video as well. Now, I want to make the benchmarks video as good as it can be, and I don't want to make the videos too long. So that's why I'm going to be including that in a different video. The other thing is, my hard drive that I took from my old computer ended up working like flawlessly. So all my files, all my programs and everything like that are exactly where they were on my old computer. My desktop is completely the same. Everything is where it's supposed to be, and I didn't have to activate Windows again. Now, to my knowledge, it doesn't always work out like that. So, your luck may vary. But for me, it ended up working out. So some of you may be wondering why there's a custom water cooling loop in the PC now. And that's because the stock cooler, while it was doing okay, it wasn't the greatest in the world. And so I definitely want to get the temperatures down. And if any of you have ever done a custom water cooling loop, you know that the temperature drop from a stock cooler is like phenomenal. So I'll be making another video on that here shortly. So stay tuned for that. It'll definitely be a good one. So if any of you guys are interested in the parts that I use in this build, I will have affiliate links in the description below. And finally, it really helps me out when you guys subscribe, so if you like this video, consider subscribing and hitting that like button. And as always guys, see you on the next one.